Okay, my name is James Williams Jr. and I just deleted the 9th video that I was trying to make about Kanye West and Donald Trump presidency and friendship. Mostly this was a video that was supposed to be the final video, and it was directed mostly at Kanye West and some of the bullshit that flies out of his mouth. Alright? So let's take Donald Trump out of the equation. Let's leave Kanye in. Alright? Because I ain't got too shit to say about Donald Trump outside of the fact that he's a fucking racist. Outwardly admitted a fucking racist and a sexist. So we're going to leave him out. Alright? This is specifically for Kanye West and all of you who followed this lyrical genius who clearly is dumb as a box of fucking rocks for Christmas. Everybody in America who is black, unless you have immigrated from Africa, you're black. You are not African American, your ass is black. Let's get that out the way first. Now for young Mr. West here, who somehow or another is a lyrical genius, clearly forgot the fact that slaves came over here on a boat, bound in chains. They were taken from their family by other tribes who decided that the bigger tribes in Africa deserved to have more land, while little tribes in Africa didn't have the right to fucking survive. So hey, let's take 10,000 of those motherfuckers and either wipe them out or give them to these European guys who are going to go over there and make them cultivate the land after we take it from Native Americans. But apparently Mr. West, the lyrical genius that he is, has figured out that our numbers were greater and that slavery was a motherfucking choice. I want y'all to let that soak in for a minute. Slavery being a choice. So my Native American ancestors, my black ancestors, are rolling around their graves right now because apparently they had a fucking choice to not be slaves. So I know you're thinking Native Americans weren't slaves. Okay, that's not 100% true. Some Native Americans were slaves. They might not have been bound and chained, but they also couldn't leave the reservation. Still slaves. You know, just a different type of slave. Also, I have some white ancestors who very well may have been slaves. Indentured servants. Some of them were white people because whites had never seen blacks in Europe and all the other white countries before slavery came to pass. They never seen Asians or Native Americans until they got to this country. Now, they may have seen Indians from India and weren't sure, who also are legally classified as Asians, by the way. But slavery is a choice. So let's go back. Let's take that Wayne's World trip. God, I wish I had special effects. To a time where even white people in their nations were slaves. What, you guys didn't know that, huh? Yeah, American history and history in general kind of leaves some shit out of the books, right? Yes, because history is a shade of mystery that no one really wants to teach because if you don't know where you came from, you won't know where you're going. And if you're still ignorant to the fact that slavery was not a choice, then we got you. Right where we want you. Yeah, because ignorance is bliss and golden. And if you don't know, then you might be too scared to ask somebody. And as long as we can keep you in the dark, slavery will be your choice. Because you don't have a choice when someone has a knife to your throat. You don't have a choice when someone has a gun to your head. You don't have a choice when you get off the boat and you unload a cannonball into thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who only have arrows, spears, and knives versus gunpowder and musket balls and, oh yeah, the all-powerful cannonball. But again, our lyrical genius, in which all of you fuckers follow, believes that slavery was a choice. I wonder what book he was reading, you know. I don't think Kunta had more than one choice, and that was either save his foot or save his penis, and he chose to save his penis and lost a foot so that he couldn't run no more. We don't take that into consideration. We don't take that Alex Haley went through all of this shit to find all of his family roots, and that Kunta and them was smart enough to jot that shit down because Kizzy could read, even though she wasn't supposed to know how to. because slavery is a choice. Ignorance is not a choice. So let's get that right. I'm not going to defend his ignorance, but ignorance is not a choice. For the years that we were in chains, it was illegal for us to learn how to read and write. We don't have our own actual last names. Very few black Americans have their own last names. Most of our last names came from the owners who owned us. Try to remember that while you guys are believing that slavery was a choice. You came here with the last name. They beat it out of you. Your last name is whatever the hell your master's last name was, which is why there are so many Black Williamses or Smiths or whatever the most popular black name is, because most of them were probably owned by people of the same lineage and had the same last damn name. And so what do we get? We get the last names of our owners. Of course, if you ask Kanye, he'll tell you that slavery was a choice. We had the numbers. Why didn't we take them out? Well, here's the thing. We did not have the numbers. And we also did not have that one advantage that everyone else had when they stepped foot on this soil. They had the fucking ordnance. They had guns. Native Americans had spears and knives. Most of that shit was made out of rocks and sticks. Slaves didn't even have a weapon when they came here because they didn't know that the weapons around their wrists that we call chains was weapons. So you have to ask yourself, how smart is this lyrical genius that you're following, who's friends with an outward racist, and thinks that slavery was a choice, and also thinks that he's bigger than Jesus? That was the first thing that ever got my attention to Kanye West, to be honest with you. The fact that this young man said that he was bigger than Jesus. I don't give a damn what your ethnic background is right there. That's like a straight strike against every fucking body. Nobody's bigger than Jesus. Nobody. That's why certain people who named their sons Jesus got in trouble when they went to school. You know, your son. My son's name's Jesus. Well, it's spelled Jesus, but his name is Jesus. It's not illegal to name your child Jesus, even if it's pronounced Jesus. However, it's god-awful offensive. But it's not as offensive as the fact that slaves did not have a fucking choice. You guys ain't gonna like this video. That's apparent. I know I'm halfway through the video before I decide to tell you straight up that you're not gonna like this video. Well, the fact of the matter is that you people who love Kanye West, whether you're black or white or Asian or whatever, you're entitled to that. That is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying boycott the motherfucker. I'm not saying don't listen to his music. I only know one of his songs. He very well may be a lyrical genius. I can't take back none of the shit that I've said. I can delete it, but that's not going to do any good because I still said it. But the fact of the matter is, you know, I've erased 9 videos because I couldn't get my point across without going off on another point. This one I've done so far so good. Now I've kept it on Kanye. I really didn't touch too much on Donald Trump, and I kept it on slavery as a choice. And I straight up told you guys that I'm not telling you not to like the guy. I'm not telling you not to follow the guy. I'm just telling you that your lyrical genius might be a lyrical dumbass. You got T.I. chiming in. I watched a video last night with Snoop smoking weed and talking about what time is you going in to be reporting slavery. And he took a buff. He said, I'm going in at 4 o'clock because slavery is a choice. Then he took another puff and he said, oh, slavery is a choice? Well, then I choose to go in at 8. Then he took another puff and he says, slavery is not a choice, motherfucker. So, hell's to Snoop on that. Because truth be told, slavery was not a fucking choice. And if any of you are dumb enough to believe that, you need to understand the palm of my hand. You know, maybe both hands. Hell, both sides of my hands. Because stupidity is not something that you should be proud of. Even Wile E. Coyote, who's supposed to be a super genius, should learn that if your Acme products keep failing, maybe you ought to go get something from fucking DuPont. You know? Or maybe Dunlap. But no. Coyote is Wile E. Coyote. Super genius. Every Acme product he done got has failed him. So you would think, okay, well, if I'm getting all this Acme stuff, either this super genius is illiterate and can't read how to use the product, or the product is faulty. Just like the fact that slavery was not a choice. So I want you guys to do one thing after watching this video. I want you to go Google American history. I want you to Google indentured servants. Because yes, most of the indentured servants were white people. So if you think that white people were not slaves, you would be thinking wrong. There were white slaves, there were black slaves, and yes, there were Asian and Native American slaves. Somehow they had to pay for their ticket to get here. Most of them took the indentured servitude route. That would be most of the white people, which were slaves to white people. And FYI, some of those indentured servants who were women were raped and prosecuted and beaten and chosen to be burnt at the stake for being witches, for being indentured servants, and getting their ticket here cost them their damn near soul. Some of them were raped and carried the babies on. Some of them were raped and committed suicide. Some of them were raped and killed just to keep them shutting up so that they wouldn't tell the owner's wife. But again, apparently, our lyrical genius thinks that slavery was a choice. And I'm pretty sure you guys don't know that there were white slaves. I'm sure you guys don't know that there were Native American slaves. I'm sure you guys don't know nothing except for the fact that there was black slaves. Well, I have some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is everybody has had some slaves in their ethnicity, and you can Google and fact check that shit all you want. It's going to take a lot of work for you to find it, but it's the truth. The bad news is, and for the record, and hopefully the final thing that I have to say today, slavery was never a fucking choice. The indentured servants didn't choose to be slaves. They kind of was damned if they do and damned if they don't. So they kind of had to be servants to get out of one bad situation, only to find out that the grass was not green on the other side and wound up in a worser hell than where they were before. We throw rocks. We judge people. We don't ask questions. We don't think maybe the guy might need a little bit of help. And if you do need help, I'm going to tell you right now, I would advise you to get it, because I suffer from bouts of depression and I got help for it. I still suffer from bouts of depression, but I've gotten an established plan to work out my issues. And so I do. But as long as you are breathing, Mr. West, this is specifically for you. Don't you think for a New York minute this slavery was a choice? You got every rapper under the sun chunking you. They blaming your wife. They blaming your situation. They blaming the loss of your mother. And I understand that because I've lost my father 4 years ago, and that's some shit you never get over, and it doesn't get any fucking better. It eases up a bit, but it doesn't change the facts. They're gone. We can't ever bring them back, and nothing we can do that. And you got to be thinking, because I know that every video I make, I think, is this going to make my father swirl in his urn? So you have to think, is everything that I say going to make my parent, the only one in my life, swirl in her grave? And then think before you speak. Everybody's saying, that the man's got some issues because he lost his mom. I lost my dad going on 4 years come March. I'm not going out crazy telling people that slavery was a choice. And I'm not hugging arms with David Duke. Alright? I don't want nothing to do with people who are racist. I don't want nothing to do with people who treat women as anything other than women. You guys don't think about how Billy Bush feels that he can't get arrested getting a job. Because he was on the bus with the racist ass president who said, You can grab women by the pussy. Because you're rich. They'll allow you to do it when you're rich and famous. Sexual assault is not a laughing matter. And sexual assault does not just consist of rape. In this book, I learned that in chapter 7. I always thought sexual assault was just rape. That apparently it's groping, fondling, unlawful penetration without permission of any bodily part into a female or a male without permission or consent. Very important to know that. Slavery was not consented upon by the slaves. And no one consents to rape. The young man you guys are following, who believes that slavery was a choice, should probably get himself some help. I know that I need help, and I got it. And now I'm just saying, I'm not going to delete this video because it was awesome. There wasn't too much cussing in it. I made my point. Slavery was not a choice, and you guys need to really be careful of the people that you idolize. Don't idolize me. I'm not a saint. I'm a truth teller. And if you don't like the truth, I'm not the guy to come to. Be seeing you.